14:32 hours, South China Sea. Sunlight glared across the waves as two U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornets from the USS Theodore Roosevelt roared across disputed airspace. The mission was routine, freedom of navigation patrol, but nothing stays routine in the South China Sea, especially not today. Inside the cockpit of Eagle 2-1, the lead F-18, the pilot scanned the horizon. The calm blue sky felt wrong, too empty, too quiet. Then, the radar warning receiver chirped once, a tiny, sharp sound. The pilot frowned. "Eagle 2-2, you seeing anything?" His wingman answered, "Negative, sky's clean." But the lead pilot didn't believe it. He had flown too many missions here. He knew this was the kind of silence that comes before something happens. The first contact, 14:35 hours. A faint blip appeared on the F-18's radar. Then another, then three. The pilot stared. Multiple contacts. Bearing 087, low altitude. The wingman tightened his voice. "Chinese jets?" Before he finished the question, a deep, unmistakable ping echoed through the cockpit. The RWR lit up. The F-18 had just been painted by a long-range radar. The pilot muttered, "That's no search radar. That's fire control." The Chinese arrive. A shadow streaked across the clouds. Then three PLA Air Force J-16 fighters emerged from the glare, climbing fast, closing distance. The J-16, one of China's most advanced multi-role fighters, carries both long-range PL-15 missiles and short-range dogfight weapons. The lead J-16 took point, drifting directly across the F-18's nose. The US pilot exhaled slowly. "That's way too close." The Chinese jet tilted its wings. An aggressive showman's maneuver. The wingman spoke through clenched teeth. "They're trying to intimidate us." The intel briefings were right. Unverified, the PLA combat order. Weeks before, unverified OSINT chatter claimed Chinese commanders had quietly issued a new directive. Aggressively challenge US flights near contested islands. Do not fire, but push the envelope. No government ever confirmed the claim, but the J-16's behavior today fit too well. The radio warning, 14:38 hours. A distorted voice crackled over emergency frequencies. "US aircraft, you are in Chinese airspace. Leave immediately or you will be intercepted." The US pilot responded, "Negative. We are operating in international airspace, in accordance with international law." Another Chinese voice cut in, "If you do not change course, we will take action." The F-18 pilot tightened his harness. "Eagle 2-2, stay sharp." The lock, 14:39 hours. A sudden piercing alarm erupted in Eagle 2-1's cockpit. The red light flashed. The RWR display turned crimson. The pilot's voice cracked. "Missile lock. Chinese jet just locked us." The wingman cursed. "They locked you with what?" The radar interpretation panel told him, "PL-15, long-range missile guidance frequency." This wasn't a search lock. This wasn't a ping. This was a weapon lock. The American pilot shouted, "Brake, brake, brake." Both F-18s snapped into defensive dives. The J-16 stayed glued behind him, holding the lock. The deadliest moment in the sky. An F-18 pilot's nightmare is simple. A foreign jet pointing a radar-guided missile at you, because once the lock is established, you may have less than 4 seconds before launch. Flight control lights flickered in the cockpit. Eagle 2-1, evasive right. The American pilot pulled hard. 6 Gs, then 7. His vision narrowed. Stars filled his eyes, but the lock tone did not break. The J-16 stayed on him. Predatory, precise. The US response, 1,441 hours. The wingman snapped vertical, trying to flank the Chinese jet. Eagle 2-1, "I've got eyes on him. He's riding your tail hard." The lead pilot's breathing grew heavier. He whispered, "This guy's trained." The J-16 was not flying recklessly. It was flying deliberately. The wingman flipped a switch. His tone turned surgical. "Master arm, safe, not firing, but ready." The US Navy does not fire first, but it never stays unprepared. China escalates again. Suddenly, a second J-16 drifted behind the wingman. Another lock tone. "Eagle 2-2, you're locked too." Now both American fighters were under missile lock. The air became electric. The radio lit up with warnings, alarms, shouts, and then the most chilling message yet. "US aircraft, you have 10 seconds to turn north." The captain of the F-18 whispered, "They're counting down." The countdown. In the cockpit of Eagle 2-1, digital markers blinked. 10, 9, 8. If China launched a single missile, even a warning shot, a regional war could erupt within minutes. 7, 6, 5. The pilot grabbed the stick with both hands. He whispered to himself, "Not today. Not like this." 4. The wingman shouted, "Eagle 2-1, they're tightening the lock." 3. The lead J-16 dipped slightly, the classic setup angle for missile launch. 2. The PLA pilot's missile pylons glinted in the sun. 1. And then, a sound the US pilot had never expected. a new radar tone, stronger, closer, deeper. The wingman gasped, "What the hell? That's not Chinese." The pilot looked at his RWR. A new aircraft had entered the arena. The signature was unmistakable, a US Navy F-35C, and it was locking onto the J-16. The American stealth fighter had arrived, and everything was about to flip. The F-35 enters the fight. 14:43 hours, South China Sea. The sky trembled as the US Navy F-35C descended from above, its stealth silhouette slicing through the haze. It had been lurking high, invisible, silent, unchallenged, until the moment the Chinese fighters escalated to missile lock. Now, it was done hiding. The F-18 wingman's voice cracked with disbelief. "Eagle 2-1, the F-35 is locking both J-16s." Inside the J-16 cockpits, alarms erupted simultaneously, targeted by stealth threat. The lead Chinese pilot stiffened. A fourth-generation fighter does not want a fifth-generation stealth jet sitting behind it, and certainly not one capable of firing before you even know it's there. The tables turn. The F-35 pilot spoke calmly over encrypted comms. "Eagle 2-1, you are covered. Maintain evasion pattern. I have both bandits." The American F-18 exhaled for the first time in minutes. The J-16 pilots scrambled. Their lock tones flickered. Then, one by one, missile lock lost. The Chinese fighters broke formation in panic, peeling away to avoid giving the F-35 a clean kill shot. The American wingman laughed under his breath. Now they're running, but it wasn't over, not even close. China doesn't back down. 14:45 hours. A new warning came through. Eagle 2-1, picking up additional contacts. Bearing 101, fast, multiple, high altitude. The lead F-18 tensed. More Chinese jets? He was right. 3 more J-16s were inbound, closing fast. The wingman growled. "They're sending backup." The intel officer aboard the carrier Roosevelt had warned earlier, if China senses weakness, they push harder. If they sense resistance, sometimes they push even harder. Unverified Chinese orders. Unverified OSINT leaks claimed certain PLA air wings were instructed to never lose face in encounters with US stealth assets. Was it true? No official confirmation was ever released, but the sudden arrival of reinforcements felt like exactly that kind of order. The 6 vs 3 standoff. The sky turned into a chessboard. 6 J-16, 2 F-18, 1 F-35, altitude shifts, energy management, lock tones, counterlocks, a showdown at Mach 1. The F-35 calmly repositioned. The J-16S tightened formation. Then, the Chinese fighters lit their afterburners. The lead F-18 said it out loud. "They're forming a pincer. They're trying to box us." The F-35 pilot responded with ice in his voice. "Not happening." The Chinese lock again. 14:48 hours. The second Chinese wave acted aggressively. 2 J-16s dove from above, and both initiated long-range targeting sweeps. The F-18's RWR screamed, "Missile lock warning, multiple sources." The lead pilot shouted, "Again!" 3 Chinese fighters had re-established missile lock on the US F-18. The wingman yelled, "They're doing it intentionally. This is provocation protocol." The missile lock tone grew louder, hotter, closer. The F-35 makes its move. The stealth jet dropped altitude instantly, something the J-16s didn't expect. Before the Chinese pilots could react, their cockpits exploded with a new intrusive alarm. Stealth lock, high threat, stealth lock, high threat. The F-35 had achieved simultaneous lock on 3 J-16 at once. The lead J-16 pilot panicked. He broke formation violently. His wingman followed. The entire Chinese pincer collapsed like a snapped rope. The F-35 pilot said calmly, "Break your locks, or I break your formation." The J-16S obeyed. All missile locks on the US fighters dissipated. The desperate J-16 maneuver. But one Chinese pilot wasn't finished. A lone J-16 dove for the deck, then pulled up underneath the lead F-18. The classic shadow blind spot approach. "Eagle 2-1, you've got one right under you." The American pilot's heart slammed in his chest. Before he could react, lock tone. Again, the Chinese jet had acquired missile lock from below. The wingman shouted, "Eagle 2-1, break left now." The F-18 rolled hard. 6 Gs, 7, 8. The jet groaned. His vision dimmed, but he stayed conscious, and the lock tone finally broke. The J-16 overshot by inches. The final warning, 14:52 hours. The F-35 came down like a hammer. It positioned itself directly behind the rogue J-16. Radar, infrared, optical, every sensor on the F-35 locked onto the Chinese jet. The Chinese pilot heard it, every alarm he had lit up. The F-35 pilot transmitted one sentence on an open channel, a move almost never used: break lock or be marked hostile. For a fighter pilot, those 6 words mean something very specific. You're seconds away from being shot down. The Chinese retreat, 14:54 hours. Silence. Then the Chinese pilot broke off violently and climbed away. In the next 10 seconds, every remaining J-16 disengaged. The entire Chinese formation turned west and abandoned the confrontation. The wingman exhaled loudly. They're leaving. The lead pilot smiled beneath his oxygen mask. They weren't expecting a stealth escort. The aftermath, 1,457 hours. The F-18s resumed their patrol route. The F-35 remained above, invisible and watchful. The radio from the Roosevelt finally chimed. Eagle Flight, RTB. We saw everything. Stand by for debrief. The wingman chuckled. What do we even call this? The lead pilot responded quietly. A near miss. The F-35 pilot added, a message. The American pilot nodded. Yeah, that the US doesn't scare easy. The final twist. As the jets turned back toward the carrier, the radio man intercepted a short Chinese transmission, encrypted, rushed, and anxious. The intel officer would later call it the most interesting part of the entire encounter, because the message wasn't directed at the US jets, but at someone deeper inland, a Chinese command center, and the decoded fragment, unverified but chilling, said, "We did not anticipate the stealth fighter.